Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just looking at an article or a report. Nope, we are going straight to the source, an official financial standard, to really understand how that plastic in your wallet is seen through a system of ethics that's been around for centuries. Let's break down the rules of Islamic finance for debit, charge, and credit cards. I mean, think about it. That card you use to tap for coffee or buy something online, is it just a piece of modern tech, or does it actually connect to financial rules that were laid down a long, long time ago? That's the question we're digging into, and the answer is pretty fascinating. It's where modern banking meets timeless ethics. Okay, before we get to the cards themselves, we have to understand the foundation, Sharia. When it comes to finance, think of it as an ethical framework for every single transaction. And one of its absolute central pillars, a strict ban on interest, is going to be the deciding factor for every card we look at today. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with the one core principle that really governs everything. Then, we'll dive into each card type one by one: debit, charge, and the most complicated one, credit cards. And finally, we'll pull it all together for the final verdict. All right, let's jump right in. When you're looking at any financial product in Islamic finance, there's one core principle, one big idea that pretty much trumps everything else. And that concept is riba. Now, in today's financial world, you can basically just think of riba as interest. The whole idea behind prohibiting riba is to stop exploitation and to make sure wealth is grown through actual economic activity, like trade or investing in things, not just by lending money to make more money. So keep that word, riba, in your head because it is the single deciding factor for every card. First up, let's talk about the simplest and probably the most common card out there, the debit card. This is going to be our baseline for what is clearly and easily acceptable.
A debit card is really just a key to the money you already own. It's not a loan, not at all. It's a direct link, a pipeline, to your own bank account. When you swipe or tap, you're just spending your own funds.
So let's look at the mechanics, right? You can only spend what you actually have, and the money leaves your account right away. Most importantly, there's no credit involved, no loan, no debt. Now, a bank can charge you a fee for the card, but that's okay because it's a fee for the service they're providing, not for the act of lending money. That distinction is absolutely key. And the standard is crystal clear here. Debit cards are permissible. The reason is super simple. The whole transaction is completely free of riba, or interest. You're just using your own money in a more convenient way. It's direct, it's simple, and it's compliant. Okay, let's add a layer of complexity. We're stepping into the world of credit now, but with a really important twist. Let's take a look at the charge card. A charge card might look just like a credit card, but it works in a totally different way. Basically, the bank gives you a monthly tab. You can spend up to a certain limit, but, and this is the whole point, you have to pay the entire bill off at the end of the month. There's no option to just carry a balance forward. So let's break that down. The cardholder gets a short-term, interest-free loan, but the contract forces them to pay it all back quickly. And here's the crucial part. The agreement itself doesn't include interest charges, even for late payments. The bank makes its money from things like membership fees or taking a small commission from the merchants, not by earning interest from you. And here's the verdict from the standard. Charge cards get the green light. And the reason it's stated right there in the quote. The credit facility is not granted in exchange for interest. It's just a different business model. Because riba is not part of the core deal, the card is permissible. And now we get to the most common type of credit-based card out there. And yeah, the one that causes the biggest problem from a Sharia perspective, the conventional credit card. The one feature that defines a credit card is revolving credit. It's that mechanism that lets you pay just a minimum amount and then carry the rest of your debt over to the next month. And that's precisely where it runs into trouble with the principles of Islamic finance. The difference couldn't be clearer. With a charge card, the debt is temporary. It has to be cleared in full, every single time. With a credit card, that debt can be extended, pretty much forever. And the bank lets you do this for a price. They charge interest on whatever you don't pay off. That is the fundamental difference. Interest. This is riba in its most common modern form. It is the extra payment for a loan that Sharia principles explicitly and forcefully prohibit. And the standard is very direct about why this rule is so absolute. It's not some minor guideline. It's described as being established in the core religious texts and is considered self-evident within the faith. So this isn't just a financial rule. It's a deeply, deeply rooted ethical and religious doctrine. So the bottom line is this. The standard prohibits issuing conventional credit cards precisely because the business model is built on charging and receiving interest. And it's not just on the bank. The cardholder is also forbidden from knowingly signing a contract where they might have to pay interest. It's a prohibition that cuts both ways. So, after looking at all three types of cards, what's the big takeaway? Let's bring it all together into one clear, simple summary. It really all comes down to this. The debit card is fine because you're just using your own money. The charge card is also fine because even though it's a form of credit, the contract is interest-free. But the conventional credit card is prohibited because its core feature, that revolving credit, is built entirely on charging interest, on riba. The deciding factor, every single time, is the presence of an interest-based loan. And that brings us to our final thought. The technology we use for payments is constantly changing. We're moving beyond plastic cards to apps and digital wallets. So the really interesting question for the future is, how do these foundational principles of fairness and the prohibition of interest apply to new things like buy now, pay later services or even cryptocurrency? The principles themselves don't change, but how they apply in our crazy, fast-changing financial world, well, that's a story that is still being written.